what happens when a person cries for mercy. But karma has already begun its return. Consider the ancient wisdom found in the Buddhist concept of nanqua, cause and effect. Every action, whether seen or unseen, sets in motion a ripple that will, in time, return to its source. Karma may be delayed, but it is never forgotten. Today, you'll hear the true story of a woman who built her life on the suffering of others. And when she finally sought forgiveness, the universe's answer was not what she expected. In a bustling city where the hum of ambition never ceases, lived a woman named Lan. In her late 30s, Lan was the picture of modern success, elegant, poised, and seemingly untouchable. She managed a thriving business, attended charity galas, and was often seen in the front row of the city's most revered temples. To acquaintances and neighbors, she was a model of virtue, always ready with a donation, a blessing, or a carefully chosen mantra recited at just the right moment. But beneath the surface was a different story. Lan's confidence masked a history of manipulation and calculated choices. She had once been close friends with a woman named Mai, whose trust she betrayed for personal gain. When Mai confided her business plans, Lan secretly used the information to outmaneuver her, securing a lucrative deal that should have belonged to Mai. Their friendship ended in silence, and Lan never looked back. At work, Lan's ambition knew no bounds. A talented colleague admired by many became the target of her jealousy. With whispered rumors and subtle sabotage, Lan orchestrated her downfall, ensuring her own promotion at the cost of another's dreams. Her colleagues suspected nothing, seeing only her polished smile and generous gestures. Even within her own family, Lan's choices were driven by self-interest. Her elderly mother, frail and longing for company, was often left alone. Lan rationalized her absence as necessary for her career, ignoring her mother's calls and missing the final days of her life. The guilt was fleeting. She told herself she would make amends later when life was less demanding. In public, Lan maintained a spiritual image. She was a familiar face at temple ceremonies, her hands pressed together in prayer, her donations generous enough to earn her praise from monks and lay people alike. She recited mantras, lit incense, and spoke of compassion. Yet, in the quiet moments of her life, she felt untouchable. Her success seemed to confirm that she was blessed, even favored by fate. But karma, as the old teachings say, is patient. It does not rush, nor does it forget. Years passed, and Lan's life continued to flourish. Her business expanded, her social circle widened, and her reputation as a philanthropist grew. She rarely thought of the people she had hurt. If a memory surfaced, she brushed it aside with practiced ease. The world seemed to reward her, and she believed her good deeds at the temple had balanced the scales. Then, without warning, the fabric of her life began to unravel. It started with her business. A trusted partner, someone she had mentored and promoted, suddenly betrayed her. Overnight, confidential information was leaked, contracts were lost, and the company's reputation was in tatters. The financial loss was staggering, but the sense of betrayal cut deeper. Lan, who had always prided herself on her intuition, was blindsided. As she struggled to salvage her business, Lan's health began to fail. She was struck by a mysterious illness, fatigue, pain, and a constant sense of unease. Doctors ran test after test, but no clear diagnosis emerged. The treatments offered little relief. For the first time, Lan felt powerless. Her personal relationships suffered as well. Friends distanced themselves, old allies became cold, and rumors spread about her integrity. Even those she had once helped seemed to turn away, offering only polite smiles and empty words. Lan was left isolated, her once vibrant world now shadowed by suspicion and doubt. Desperate for answers, Lan returned to the temples, not as a benefactor, but as a seeker. She knelt before the altar, her prayers stripped of pretense. She asked for mercy, for healing, for a return to the life she once knew. Night after night, she pleaded for forgiveness, promising to change if only her suffering would end. One night, exhausted by pain and worry, Lan fell into a restless sleep. In her dream, she found herself in a vast, misty landscape. Figures appeared before her. Mai, her former friend, her colleague, whose career she had destroyed, her mother, frail and silent. One by one, they turned their backs to her, saying nothing. The silence was heavy, filled with all the words left unsaid, all the apologies never made. Lan awoke, with tears on her face and a heaviness in her heart that no medicine could ease. In her search for understanding, Lan met an old monk known for his wisdom and compassion. She poured out her story, confessing the wrongs she had done and the suffering she now endured. The monk listened quietly, his eyes kind but unwavering. After a long silence, he spoke. "You are not being punished. You are being reminded." Lan looked at him, confused and desperate for hope. "Karma is not about revenge," the monk continued. "It is about restoring balance. When we cause harm, even without intent, the universe seeks to teach us, to awaken us to the pain we have created. The suffering you feel is not a sentence, but an invitation to transform." He encouraged her to face her past, not with shame, but with humility and courage. True healing begins not with prayers for mercy, but with sincere efforts to make amends. Go to those you have hurt. Offer your apologies, not for your own relief, but to acknowledge their pain. Serve others, not to erase your karma, but to open your heart. Lan took his words to heart. For the first time, she saw her suffering not as a punishment, but as a mirror, reflecting the pain she had caused. She began the slow and difficult path of self-awareness. She sought out Mai, her former friend, and confessed the betrayal that had ended their friendship. The meeting was uncomfortable, filled with tears and awkward silences. But Lan spoke honestly, asking for forgiveness without expectation. She visited her old colleague, offering a heartfelt apology for her action and the harm they had caused. Sometimes her apologies were met with anger or indifference. But Lan persisted, understanding that forgiveness was not hers to demand. She spent time volunteering at a local shelter, caring for the elderly, an act inspired by the memory of her own mother. She listened to their stories, offered comfort, and learned the value of presence and compassion. The work was humbling, but it brought a sense of peace she had never known. Gradually, Lan's illness began to ease. She was not fully cured, but the pain lessened, and her spirit grew lighter. Her business did not recover to its former glory, but new opportunities emerged. Smaller, perhaps, but more aligned with her values. She rebuilt some friendships, though others remained distant. Through it all, she learned to accept the consequences of her action, not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the lessons they brought. Lan's journey was not easy, nor was it quick. Karma, she realized, is not a simple ledger of good and bad deeds. It is a living, breathing force that shapes our lives, guiding us toward growth and understanding. The suffering she endured was not retribution, but a call to awaken, to see herself and others with clarity and compassion. In the end, Lan discovered a deeper truth. Mercy is not something to be begged for, but something to be lived. When we face the consequences of our actions with humility and a sincere desire to change, we become instruments of healing, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. The Buddhist teachings remind us karma is not delayed justice. It is perfect timing for transformation. Sometimes, the universe withholds mercy not to punish us, but to invite us to become better, wiser, and more compassionate. So as you reflect on Lan's story, ask yourself, have you ever seen karma unfold in your own life or in the lives of those around you? What lessons did it teach you about responsibility, forgiveness, and the power of change? If this story resonated with you, you should remember to carry its message forward. Like, subscribe, and share with those who may find comfort or insight in these words. May we all live with mindfulness and compassion, understanding that every action, no matter how small, shapes the world we share.